What's up, everybody? This is the Growing Up Italian podcast, and today we have a special guest, my good friend Lou B. What is going on, Lou?
Hey, thank you for having me today.
This is long overdue.
Yeah.
We've been talking about doing this for months, since the Clubhouse days.
Through the pandemic.
Through all that time. But for those of you who don't know Lou B, he is someone I look up to, so it is only right I sit down with him and have this moment documented of just giving him his flowers, because in my world, all I've been through in my life, he is somebody that I could compare myself to, someone I look up to, and someone I try to follow his lead. So I just want to thank you for everything you've done in the industry. You are super creative. You are a genius in your own right. And I'm so thankful you're sitting down with me today.
Look, I appreciate that. You know, I've always supported what you do, and I love you raising that flag for Italian people every day. I know you really push it more than I do, and I appreciate that from my point of view.
Oh, thank you, Lou. So the people that don't know you are going to learn who Lou B is, and the people that already know you're going to learn a little bit more.
I hope.
Because there's a lot of people in my world that know who you are. You know, like guys like from the Jersey Shore that you've helped get on the show, such and so forth. Like, you've done so much. But you come from a family business like me. You grew up in a family business. I'm sure you started working at a very young age. Could you tell us a little bit about how it is working in a family business?
Yeah, so my grandfather is the original Gino of Gino's Italian Ices and Gino's Pizzeria. He was one of the first people in America to have a pizzeria, and he brought my entire family along. And we have a lot of places now throughout the sort of the Northeast is our main. But growing up in the restaurant business, I worked till I was like 16, 17. In that business, it's tough, and as you know, you still know today.
Yeah.
You know, and following in my grandfather's footsteps every day is a journey.
Big shoes to fill.
Big, impossible to fill. Me and my cousin always say that.
Wait, I wanted to touch on this real quick, but for those of you who don't know, Gino's Ices, like, was it not sold in like every pizzeria? Like, I've seen that Gino's Ices sticker everywhere.
Well, it was the first Italian ice company, and when there was no air condition, my grandfather used to bring a freezer in the pizzeria and cans and cans and trucks every day. I mean, it was a big business for a very long time. And then so many others opened throughout the years. And air condition came in, and TCVY yogurt and things like that. But it was a special thing for a lot of people, you know, to go get an ice after a hot day.
What year did that start, more or less?
He was like through the 60s. He really started picking everything up real heavy in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, Gino's is got to be one of the most famous pizzerias in all of New York. So your grandfather's a legend. He put the flag down, and there's still a bunch of Gino's out there, right?
Yeah, so the great thing about my grandfather is he passed away many years ago, but he was a big job creator, right? He came here with nothing, and
Where's your family come from in Italy?
We're more of like Salerno.
Oh, we're paisans then.
Yeah, and he provided jobs, and now today there's thousands and thousands of people and Italians that are fully taken care of. Right? Yeah. They all have jobs and work hard every day at it, and he definitely gave them that platform.
No, man, salutes to him, man, because he's a pioneer to that whole industry. Now, was there a moment for you where you just said, like, I can't work in this family business? Was there, like, something that just was a straw that broke the camel's back, and you're like, I'm not going to do this? Because I had those moments where I stopped working for my dad for 3 years because I couldn't do it. And then, I mean, I want to hear your story, but I didn't get my father's respect until I did it on my own. And that's where club promoting kind of came in, because he saw one Thanksgiving Eve, I had like $3,000 cash. He's like, where did this come from, you know? So I'm curious to hear, like, what your journey was like.
I love the restaurant business. It's hospitality, and it's the same thing as what I do today. But I wanted to just do something different. I didn't always want to be viewed as the guy that was given something. So that's a tough journey.
I get that a lot.
It's a tough journey.
I get that a lot, you know.
Growing up with kids, oh, you have nothing to worry about. You know, you got nothing to worry about.
What about anybody say you have gold spoon? You were born with a gold spoon?
Things like that. And as much as you want to hear that, you don't, right? And for me, it was, I'm going to do this in a business that nothing can be given to me. I want to do this in a lane that no one can take away my credit. Though my family helped me tremendously, and everything they taught me, I apply every day. I just wanted to do my own lane. So I actually became a cold caller. I actually worked in the stock market.
Oh, so you were...
For a good year and a half,
You were selling stocks?
Trying. But that was my first journey. And
that was your first journey alone?
Yeah, that was my first journey alone.
And it didn't work out? It just
No, I started going to the Hamptons. And I stumbled onto a nightclub there.
Okay.
And my eyes just lit up of seeing how things were.
What was the name of the place? It
was called Life in the Hamptons.
All the way out east?
Yeah,
I mean, not Montauk, yeah.
Southampton. It was called Life. It was a 23,000 square foot nightclub. And that's really where my journey began. So
you started promoting, or
no?
How did you get into it?
No. So what happened was, it's a crazy story. There was all different celebrities up in the VIP. Puff Daddy, Jay-Z, this one, that one.
I'm scared to party with Puff Daddy. I'm not gonna lie. He would get me nervous.
So I wanted to get in that VIP room. At that time, my girlfriend and her friends were with me. I tried to give the security guard money to get in, and he sort of said, you know, you don't belong in this room. And I sort of looked at that as sort of like an Italian knock. Like, what do you mean? Like, why don't I belong in there? And he kept going on and on about it, and I went on and on about it. And I said, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to find a way to buy this club, and I'm going to fire you. And he thought I was bluffing, and I think everyone there did as well.
So he was laughing at you?
Yeah.
And that fueled you?
That was like, you know, for me.
That was your motivation?
That was it, right? And I started doing my research when I left there, and I found out the owners there were having money trouble, lease trouble, and I contacted the landlord. And he said, you know, if you want to rent it, you can rent it, but there's no guarantee that you're going to have it.
It was like a month-by-month basis?
Yeah, it was just like a messed-up lease. And I worked out a deal with him, and I paid for it. And at that time, I had investors come in and help me. You know, I didn't have money of my own at that time. So investors came in and helped me. I said, I'm going to buy this club. They knew I worked hard. And I got it. And I went to the owners that were there, and I said, look, we can go partners. And it's on just one condition.
That guy got to go.
You have to fire that guy.
That's classic.
Literally, she called him and said, I don't know what you did, but you're fired. And that was it right there. I got in the
Did you
business.
know his name or something? Or you just know? That's classic. Now, when you got involved, did you do something different?
Yeah, I did. I brought all stockbrokers, right? So I brought stockbrokers, and at that time, brokers were making a lot of money. So I started inviting all of them, and then I started using some great friendships that I had in the past of getting some celebrities there. And that really turned into something. When you could bring money, you could bring celebrities, and you could bring work ethic. And for those that know, you know, I don't drink and I don't do drugs.
That's so funny.
I stay, you know, totally focused on what I'm doing.
Everything we're promoting you to come do, drink and have a good time, but we're there serious.
Yeah.
Now, is there a reason why you like that? Was there like a time when you were a little tipsy and you weren't moving right or something? Or
No,
I
hated being hungover, and I always liked being in control of what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I had a very strict family, and I sort of didn't want to be looked at in a certain way. And then I realized real early in the business that if you don't drink and you don't do drugs, you'll be taken much more serious.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
you know,
I respect that.
For us, as you know, being Italian, sometimes when you enter into certain businesses, they don't take you serious because we don't speak well. Yeah. We don't write well. Not all of us, but me and you, we're regular guys, right? And to be taken serious, you have to work really hard.
You got to work double everybody else.
Absolutely.
It's funny you say that because, like, in this industry now, you know, I'm in a social media world, and sometimes you get in these email things where, you know, I don't write well at all. You know, I dropped out of school. I dropped out of college 3 times, but I'm the person, like, you call me, I get it done, you know? And I'm sure you're the same way because you told me a great story one time about how you got in contact with Jerry Springer and brought him to the Broncos game. You want to tell that story real quick?
It's a crazy story, but...
this is a clubhouse story, by the way, guys, that I just want to have it documented for us because it was one of my favorite stories I heard. And it just, for a young entrepreneur out there, this is like the blueprint you should follow. Like, when you want to get something done, you could find a way to get it done.
So I knew a bunch of the Denver Broncos from being a stockbroker. And I said I could get anything done. And I would always push on that. And they said, yeah, get Jerry Springer to the New York Jets versus the Denver Broncos playoff game. And I'm like, I'll do it, no problem. And meanwhile, I run in the other room. I have no idea how am I going to do this? I called 411. I got the number of the Jerry Springer show. I nonstop was calling there saying, hey, the Denver Broncos want to invite Jerry. And little did I know, Steve Wilkos is a huge Jet fan.
Oh, is he? Okay.
The game was in Denver. And Steve, who's a dear friend of mine today, still, and Jerry too. I kept calling them, and they put me through to the next person. I said, I'm calling for the Denver Broncos. Get me through. I had a cold caller skills, right? So I was like pounding away. Next thing you know, I get their assistant.
I got this hot stock. I was
You're pushing like that. I get their assistant on the phone, and I said, the Denver Broncos want to invite Jerry Springer to the playoff game. I got 50-yard line tickets. And, man, I get this call, and they're like, yeah, Jerry's going to come in. I couldn't believe it.
For free, too? Like, he didn't want, like...
No, he thought he was invited to the game. I mean, I was...
So you bought tickets for him?
No, the guys gave me the tickets,
they gave you the tickets,
They gave me
right.
the 50-yard line tickets. And I get a limousine, and I pick up Jerry and Steve.
And you're in the limousine, right?
Yeah. Still have the picture. Steve puts me in a headlock, and he's like, I wanted to come here. And I meet Jerry for the first time. And we go to the Denver Bronco game, and when I tell you, John Elway turned his head, and the entire stadium was cheering.
Jerry,
you know, Jerry.
I saw that punchline coming.
Yeah, so that was.
This is like the peak of the Jerry Springer
right?
show.
And they wanted him there. To them, that was the guy they wanted there at the game.
Yeah.
And just walking through the locker room with him. And those Broncos just like seeing me get it done. I mean, they just couldn't believe it. Seeing John Elway take a picture with Jerry Springer was
because of you.
Yeah.
Did he give you photo creds on Instagram?
Yeah,
on MySpace.
Yeah, basically. But that's when I started to realize like persistence over resistance all the time.
How long did it actually take? How many hours of work did it take to actually get Jerry to?
I would say it was about 20 hours of phone calls of nonstop.
See? Some people would give up after an hour.
Yeah. And still to this day, like, Steve is one of my dearest friends. Steve from the Bodyguard.
Now he has his own show.
Yeah, his own show, but he's still, like, one of my dearest friends.
Wasn't Jerry, like, going crazy, like, doing all these spring break things? You were booking him for that.
So we became friends, and then now I'm in that lane, and I started getting him to do appearances in MTV Spring Break.
Yeah.
You know, we were running through the days of like Scribbles and everything and stuff like that. But we had a lot of shows after that. We did a lot of stuff together. It was cool.
Man, that just goes to show, like, when you want to do something, you just gotta. It's all up here. Like, if you want to get it done, you'll get it done. Now, after that, you started doing. Was that after that you started doing Glow, or is there a step we're missing?
No, I was in the Hamptons. I had a long run in the Hamptons. I had another nightclub. But
Hamptons like a seasonal thing.
Yeah,
no?
It was Memorial Day to Labor Day, and I had some clubs out there, and I started bringing sort of like dance music out there, little by little. And the Hamptons at that time was incredible, right? You're speaking of every celebrity that wants to go to someplace hot. That's the spot, right? That's the spot at that time.
Because Hamptons is hot now. I feel like back then was hotter, right?
Yeah, it was different, right? Because it was one of the only big hot spots. And anyone really successful in the nightclub business now or hospitality came out of the Hamptons, right? All the Tao guys,
Yeah, yeah.
they're all from the Hamptons. All the different groups that came out of the Hamptons run the world in hospitality right now. It's a real interesting place at a real interesting time. And I just happen to be one of the guys that got out there at the exact right time.
So it's all about being as good as a hard worker you are. Being lucky is very important too. Like getting there at that time and not 3 years later made all the difference.
Yeah, definitely.
So then, after that, what was the transition to getting into like Glow and Jonathan Peters stuff?
Yeah, so I started getting good at what I did by applying like real strong work ethic, and then I got a call from Jonathan Peters, who at that time was really
the hottest,
one of the hottest DJs in the world, and a very real pioneer
to the dance music.
Yeah, to dance music. He was the main DJ at the Sound Factory. And
this is before EDM, by the way.
Yeah,
this
definitely.
is no such thing as that.
Definitely. He needed a manager who could sort of control everything. As he controlled the music, he wanted the event controlled. So he heard about this guy who works really hard, doesn't do drugs, doesn't drink, and I met him, and he said, "I'm looking for a manager," and I just said, "If I do it, I have to do it my way, right? I just you spin and I do everything else." And he said, "Deal," and I managed Jonathan for about 8 years, and he's still a dear friend of mine. We still do some shows together. Managing really wasn't for me, but one of the most amazing talents in the history of dance music.
Yeah.
I mean, when you
He's
heard
a pioneer. He's a pioneer to it.
Big Whitney Houston mixes, Big Madonna, Like a Prayer, My Love Is Your Love,
Yeah.
Christina Aguilera,
Yeah.
Hurt, like all these projects. Who was doing songs like that? No one, only a few guys.
I mean, I remember my parents would leave me and my sister home. Like, we're going to Jonathan Peters at Sound Factory.
Yeah.
I swear on everything I love. I could call my dad right now and he'll say that. But yeah, I mean, those days was like the golden days of going out.
Sure.
I feel.
He would spin for 3 days straight. That's what people don't understand.
Yeah, that too.
He would start on a Friday and end on a Sunday.
But he would like go out for 12 hours and come back, right? No,
See, that's the misconception. No, he would stay.
You would spin 72 hours straight?
36 was a little bit more easy than the longer 3-day runs, but yeah.
How does someone even do that? That's crazy.
He
A lot of Red Bull.
Yeah, basically.
So, man, that's just that's great stories, man. And like I said before we started recording, I've always known who Lou B was growing up because I started promoting, and you were kind of like the top of what we could get to. Like, we looked at you as like, all right, if we do everything perfect, one day we could be like him. So like, I remember meeting your aunt at my panini shop in Maspeth, and that's when I was like, oh wow, that's him. Yeah, he manages this guy and does that, and I remember like you were doing all the Glow parties.
Yeah.
I mean, weren't you doing like Friday and Saturday?
No, I was doing Glow Fridays, and that was a big thing for me because dance music at that time wasn't very popular, and I found an owner who was ready to support my vision. I wanted to turn Fridays into dance music in Long Island. No one was doing this type of organized. It was always dance music in Long Island, but not like an organized show of like every week at this level. When DJs started rising, and the owner there, John Sr., who passed away, he gave me the checkbook and he said, "Go to work, get this done."
Because the talent you guys had like in Long Island is crazy. Like,
yeah, just everyone.
Eric
right?
Murillo. I mean, you know the names better than me, but
yeah, just
anybody
from Tiesto to Avicii. That was like one of his second shows in America. Yeah. It was still Tim Berg at the time. And I was just pushing and pushing and pushing, and all of a sudden, it hit. And we became this place that was like Las Vegas and Long Island. And I remember when agents started calling me, I couldn't believe it because I would always literally beg to get a show. And
then people were trying to just go directly to you, like, this guy's going to be in town. Can you book him?
Yeah, I would get that. I worked hand in hand with Pasha New York City and the late Rob Fernandez and Eddie Dean, and they sort of supported me in helping me get the talent when they were in town, right?
So they would play by you on Fridays and then Pasha on Saturdays?
We did some stuff like that, or more of like they'll
Double
spend
booking.
at this time, and then a month later they'll come back. So I worked at Pasha for 9 years of my life.
It's another legendary New York City spot that
So
everybody's been to. Sound Factory was Pasha then too, right?
Sound Factory turned into Pasha.
Pasha, yeah.
Right, so
I remember that.
You know, a lot of the stuff I did was all simultaneous, right? So I was doing all these things at the same time, and that's where it started really to get.
I'll tell you a quick story about Pasha. I mean, I learned really quick that I was like, not the party for me, because, you know, Pasha is like one of those places where people would party. Like, people would party till 3 a.m. and then go to Pasha.
Yeah.
So I remember going there one night, and like, I'm like you, I don't like to drink. So I'm just there, and I'm like, what is going on here? Like, you have walks of all life there.
It's New
I'm
York
like,
City.
yeah, I cannot be in the middle of this dance floor.
It's
you know?
New York City melting pot, right? That's what it's about.
But that was like a legendary place, and there's really nothing comparable to Pasha right now.
Yeah, well, New York City has definitely changed, and that just upsets me at a whole nother level, right? Because we had so many different options. Yeah. We had so many different options. Pasha had one of the longest runs ever for a nightclub, and they closed by choice.
Oh, really?
They closed by choice. It was the right time and the right moment. They wanted to go out on top, and that's how that went down.
Yeah. I mean, if you lived in New York City in the last 15 years and not been to one of these guys' parties, you're not living life right. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now. You're doing some great things in Atlantic City.
I'm living in Atlantic City for the last 3 years, and I promote a nightclub and beach club called HQ.
The biggest party in Atlantic City.
Yeah, it's definitely. I am part of like an incredible team out there. We work with from management to my to bookings. We have just like this incredible team of people that really love what they do, and we brought a different shine to it. And now, once again, the biggest DJs in the world are there, from Cascade to Tiesto, Taioki.
You had Cascade last week, right?
No, we have them Labor Day.
Oh, Labor Day. That's right. That's right.
But,
I saw you post that.
coming up. Aoki, doing a Jonathan Peters event again.
Oh, there you go.
And we just had so many big acts that have been there for the last 3 years. I mean, it's wild, right? It's the closest thing you're going to get to like Miami and Las Vegas right now is HQ2 Beach Club and Nightclub in Atlantic City.
I mean, Atlantic City is the East Coast is Las Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when we were there for Sopranos Con, we got on the phone, and then you're like, why didn't you hit me up? And I'm like, because everybody I spoke to that night was like, we're going to HQ. I'm like, I'm not going to bother him. Plus, I was already tired. But you could ask my cousin Rocco. He's like, are we going to go to HQ or no? I'm like, I don't want to bother him.
You never bother him.
But listen, you guys were killing it there. Like, everybody and their mother was in HQ that weekend.
Yeah,
so you guys have something special.
Yeah, it's definitely, throughout your career, some stuff hits and some stuff doesn't. This is one of the things that definitely hit.
It's hitting right now.
Yeah.
Listen, man, Lou, you're an inspiration, man. I remember, a little story. I remember everybody was involved in this Nassau Coliseum thing you did.
Sure.
And it was like the first big festival in New York. Now, I remember, like, all these Long Island kids I worked with, you had everybody pushing this. Like,
yeah,
you put together a crazy team. It was like all these super promoters. Like, how are these guys working together? And then, I heard that you were at the top of it. But, like, just the fact you put that together is history in itself.
Well, it was one of the most successful and unsuccessful days of my life. I reached the pinnacle for me and the bottom of the barrel in the same day. It was the first dance music show ever at Nassau Coliseum. No one really wanted to touch that. And I put it on sale. We sold like 300 tickets. We were short about 13,000 tickets at the time. And what I did was I printed hard tickets. I went on the street. I worked with every promoter that I worked, over 250 promoters.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I remember. Yeah. Like, everybody pushing those kind of things.
Yeah, so I reached out to everyone and said, can you sell tickets for the show? I want to do dance music here. And we got to sell out the week before. It was Halloween. It was Halloween Saturday, the day before Sandy Storm. And we got this show to sell out. An additional 5,000 people showed up. So remember, this show looked like it was going to fail. But I pushed so hard that we got it to sell out. And unfortunately, the venue just couldn't handle it at the time. They just weren't ready for this type of event, and the 5,000 additional people outside got inside.
They like broke in or something?
They they heard the music, and everyone was just like, we're going in.
That's crazy.
We have a helicopter bringing the DJ.
Which DJ was it at?
This was in the helicopter was Alesso.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So Alesso's coming down, and police are starting to be called now because the Nassau Coliseum's out of control. So they're coming in horseback, and I see these police jump off their horse, and I see the horses like running into the stadium, and I see my logo across the stadium. I'm like, oh my God, I'm dead, right? I'm dead. And I see the police aiming at the helicopter because they don't know that this helicopter is scheduled to land. And I was like, they're going to shoot Alesso out of the sky.
What did they thought it was like?
They just didn't know because they weren't really supposed to be called there. So now they see this helicopter coming down from the sky, about to land on the crowd. They're aiming at the helicopter. The horses are running in. It was pandemonium, and the fire marshal shut me down.
Oh my God.
And I saved all my money to do that show. I put everything on the line. And in the morning, Ticketmaster took all the money and refunded everyone. Right? So that was one part of it. And, you know, I was happy that the fans got their money back. But for me, you know, I sort of woke up with like $770 in my bank account because everything was attached to it. So everything siphoned me. And
oh my God.
All the fans were really about to destroy me.
Because it wasn't really your fault. I feel like it was more them with security. I mean,
so
that's a whole nother conversation.
You know, when you're the promoter, you have to take responsibility of all things. And I knew that the fans were going to crush me the next day. And my partner in Manhattan, Rob Fernandez, said, the only thing that can save you right now is if there's no internet. And literally, the next day, Sandy Storm came, and the internet was gone for 12 days. So my career was saved. My career was saved. But at that time, I thought I was done. I was going to have to retire from doing this. So you basically
lost your whole life savings for that day when you were supposed to triple your life savings.
Yeah, no, listen, there was millions of dollars in the ticket account, and I thought I hit. I was, you know, made a few million.
Buy a house in the Hamptons.
Made a few million doing what I love. And the next day, woke up with like $777, literally. And I just had to pick up my bootstraps and go on.
Yeah, Lou, you have a story of consistency, persistency, and honestly, you're a great friend, great mentor, and I appreciate your time here, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.